Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so your friends see it. Thank you.
Obama's right-hand man reveals Mueller's poisonous plans for Trump. The Obama administration has a lot to answer for. We know that during the 2016 election, he tried to prevent Trump from winning. He wiretapped Trump's campaign, hoping to find dirt he could leak to the public. It was a shocking violation of law and democracy. Yet it is Trump who is being attacked, thanks to the bogus Mueller investigation. Baseless accusations continue to be pushed by the liberal media, fueled by hysteria from Democrats. Now Obama's former lapdog in the DOJ is making a wild claim. Of course, it was on Bill Maher's show. From Daily Caller. Former Attorney General Eric Holder believes special counsel Robert Mueller already has plans to charge President Donald Trump with obstructing justice. Mueller is holding back on charging Trump until he can make sure he is the president dead to rights, Holder, who served under former President Barack Obama, said Friday night on HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher. He has made similar arguments in the past regarding Trump's behavior. I've known Bob Mueller for 20, 30 years, my guess is he's just trying to make the case as good as he possibly can. So, I think that we have to be patient in that regard, Holder said. He has long suggested that Trump should be held criminally liable for ousting former FBI Director James Comey during the midst of an investigation into Russian meddling. Considering Holder said this on the Bill Maher's show, casts his legitimacy into question. Most likely, he was giving bait to Maher's rabid audience. There is no evidence Trump did anything wrong, either during the election or after. Charging him with a crime is a pathetic dream liberals hold onto to stay warm at night. Holder is hardly the person to ask for advice concerning law and justice. The man violated the DOJ to pursue Obama's criminal antics. He was held in contempt of Congress for the Fast and Furious disaster, a program that put guns into the hands of drug cartels and led to the death of an American border agent. Under Holder, the DOJ was shaking down corporations for cash. The cash was then funneled to left-wing activist groups. That is a far worse crime than anything Trump is being accused of. Yet who is being roasted every night by the biased media? I think Holder better hold his tongue. He is guilty of plenty of violations. If he's not careful, the axe might fall on his own neck. It's official. President Trump confirms he will run again in 2020. Trump confirms he will run again in 2020 by appointing a campaign manager, 980 days before America will decide on his second term. President Donald Trump is essentially confirming his bid for re-election by tapping a veteran of 2016 as his campaign manager to oversee the effort. The president who stunned the world with his 2016 victory is tapping a veteran of his successful campaign effort to run his 2020 bid, elevating former digital director Brad Parscale, according to a new report. Trump's 2020 moves come as his calls for changes to gun laws and regulations are already hitting snags, and after he got a bounce in a recent poll. Parscale's role helming the 2020 effort was first broken by the Drudge Report. The site billed the story as a world exclusive, coming 980 days before the election. Parscale served as Trump's digital director for the 2016 campaign, where he oversaw online ads, social media, and TV purchases. After the election, he helped launch America First policies, which promotes Trump and his agenda from outside the White House. According to a statement released by the Trump campaign, in addition to focusing on building its infrastructure for the 2020 race, the Trump campaign will be engaged in the 2018 midterm elections this year, providing candidates with general support, endorsements, and rallying the support of the political grassroots by engaging Trump supporters in districts and states. The campaign sent out a statement from Eric Trump, the president's son who helps run the Trump Organization. Brad is an amazing talent and was pivotal to our success in 2016. He has our family's complete trust and is the perfect person to be at the helm of the campaign, Eric Trump said. Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, who is a senior advisor to Trump working in the White House, added, Brad was essential in bringing a disciplined technology and data-driven approach to how the 2016 campaign was run. His leadership and expertise will help build a best-in-class campaign. As early as October 2017, Parscale already told 60 Minutes he was currently working on President Trump's 2020 effort. He was among several top campaign officials to send out retweets in the final weeks of the campaign that turned out to be Russian bots that originated from a notorious troll farm in St. Petersburg. He retweeted a post from a 10_GOP- which posed as an official state party site. Trump invoked the 2020 elections during a Cincinnati trip to the Schaeffer Corporation, saying Democrats would get punished in 2018 and 2020 if they don't get behind him. They would rather see Trump do badly than our country do well, Trump said, referencing the State of the Union speech. They were like death. And un-American. Somebody said treasonous. I mean, yeah. I guess. Why not? Renowned artist paints masterpiece of President Trump. And what he's doing is simply powerful. Famed American artist John McNaughton has released an incredible new painting of President Donald Trump, in which he stands alone in a packed football stadium, holding a tattered American flag. The flag is dirty from having laid abandoned on the field, but Trump's depicted wiping the grime off the stars and stripes with the cloth in his right hand. This picture effectively symbolizes the controversy surrounding NFL players kneeling for the national anthem during the 2016 and 2017 football season. Trump was at the forefront of calling out these individuals, demanding that they be suspended from playing until they honor America. Trump had backup from Vice President Mike Pence, who walked out of an Indianapolis Colts game last year after players kneeled during the Star-Spangled Banner. Last year, McNaughton painted a picture in which Trump stands alongside the forgotten men and women who elected the nation's 45th president. Many Americans have felt forgotten by the establishment in Washington. I'm talking about the people who are more interested in themselves and their political careers, McNaughton said in a video. In addition, while core groups that supported Trump, blue-collar workers, veterans and current members of the U.S. military, law enforcement officers, and farmers, are represented in the painting, a first glance reveals an interesting addition. A snake's head being crushed under the foot of the president. I want a president that will crush the enemies of liberty, justice, and American prosperity, McNaughton explains. They may have the power to bruise his heel, but he will have the power to crush their head. McNaughton said those who voted for Trump knew exactly what they were getting, which is why they voted for him in the first place. Last year, we elected President Trump. He expressed by his words and demeanor what Americans wanted. A man who is not going to bow down to Washington or other countries. A man that would not forget the forgotten men and women of this country who elected him. Of the forgotten, McNaughton asked, how many veterans have been neglected? How many of our police officers have been marginalized? How many families are suffering because of poor health care, limited opportunities, and government intrusion? He added. Republicans stop liberal judges dead in their tracks, find grounds for impeachment. Liberal judges in the past few years have taken unprecedented liberties. Instead of making a decision based upon the rule of law, the U.S. Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence, which is their sworn duty to uphold, they choose to make up their own rules and regulations based upon their liberal agenda. In the Rust Belt, liberal judges from a northeastern state Supreme Court made a horrendous decision that directly attacks conservatives living there. So Republicans there have had enough. They have now found grounds for impeachment that should leave these judges stop dead in their tracks. Philly.com passes along an example of how the party is doing just that. Pennsylvania Republicans, furious at the state Supreme Court threw out the existing congressional map and imposed one that stripped much of their partisan advantage, have been talking about a stark response, impeaching the justices who ruled against them. After a rank-and-file lawmaker, State Representative Chris Dush of Jefferson County, raised the idea a few weeks ago, the rhetoric has intensified. This week, U.S. Representative Ryan Costello of Chester County said the justices should be impeached, and U.S. Senator Pat Toomey said the idea is worth discussing. In short, the state's Democratic Party was feeling colicky about the prospect of having their clocks cleaned in future elections. To prevent that from happening, they changed the rules to ensure there would be nothing resembling a fair fight. State Republicans aren't going to take this one laying down, and they're hinting at taking down these judges. Talk about an epic response. As of Thursday, no impeachment bill had been introduced. But in the memo he circulated to fellow lawmakers, Dush contended the High Court's ruling redrawing the congressional map blatantly and clearly contradicts the plain language of the Pennsylvania Constitution. We'll have to wait and see how this ultimately plays out, but it's at least encouraging to see the GOP fighting back on this egregious overstep by Democrats. Perhaps members of the GOP in the nation's capital can use this for some further inspiration to do the same. After all, they finally have a president in place that is more than happy to call out blatant and ridiculous nonsense whenever he sees it. htphilly.com This proves Trump is way braver than Broward County Police. A story from the early 90s has resurfaced, involving Donald Trump stopping an active and violent mugging on the side of a New York City street, just hours after liberals mocked him for suggesting he would have run into the Florida high school where 17 people were killed. The president earlier this week was responding to reports that Broward County deputies and a school resource officer remained outside the Parkland school, hiding behind vehicles while the onslaught took place at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High. You don't know until you test it, but I really believe I'd run in there, even if I didn't have a weapon, Trump stated. And I think most of the people in this room would have done that too. Naturally, liberals didn't think the president could have ever engaged in such a heroic act, and the mockery ensued. Seth MacFarlane showed a clip of Trump shying away from an ornery eagle as proof that he'd never run into the building, or something. But a story from 1991 resurfaced in the wake of the liberal jokes, and it involves Donald Trump witnessing a violent crime and running toward it, even though he didn't have a weapon, exactly as he had claimed he would do today. In the article printed by the New York Daily News, somebody in the former real estate mogul's limo noticed the mugging, to which Trump told his driver stop the car because it was brutal looking. The assailant had a baseball bat. Trump had, well, Trump. The guy with the bat looked at me, and I said, "Look, you've gotta stop this. Put down the bat," Trump told the reporter, who found out about the story through his own research. "I guess he recognized me because he said, 'Mr. Trump, I didn't do anything wrong.' I said, 'How could you not do anything wrong when you're whacking a guy with a bat?' Then he ran away." The future president had no way of knowing whether the man he was confronting had a weapon other than the bat. He had no way of knowing he wouldn't use the bat on him. He just ran after him, even though he didn't have a weapon. And just like that, those liberal jokes and another narrative went down the drain. Do you think President Trump would have run into the high school to save those kids? Would you have run in?